There's a whole bunch of quad fins on the market and they give you a certain feel. They're fast, they have drive, they give you control. But how do you know which one's the right one for you? Today we're going to have a look through 7 different quad fin setups from groveler to gun. And by the end of this video you're going to know which type of quad fin is the right one for you and where you surf. First up, the groveler. Quads in a board like this are really suitable. They give it that loose feeling because the fins are so far apart. This is a fish style board. This is, of course, the Firewire Seaside in volcanic, very flat rocketed, unbelievably wide. I mean, this ridiculously wide board. It will be fantastic fun in small waves. If you've got substandard waves you want to ride in a wave pool, or up to medium size, and even if you're not super advanced, this board is a go-to. They're very mass produced. You'll see them absolutely everywhere. People rave about them. I've done a comprehensive review of different types of fins for this as well, but generally you're going to have fairly large fins for fairly small waves, lots of drive, plenty of fun. And for most people in ordinary waves, this kind of quad makes a lot of sense. Quad fins became popular in the 80s, and by the end of the 80s they'd surfed one at Pipeline and they really took off. They've been known for tubey type of waves, and they can be used on a traditional high performance shortboard outline, a little more like this. This is a Joel Fitzgerald Wanderer. It's a pretty tasty little board here, custom built. I've had this done with 4 and also the option to ride as a thruster, but when you ride it as a quad, you can see now these quad fins are pulled in a lot more together, so it gives it more control. So if you want a quad where you've actually got a fair bit of control, and you could also ride it as a different type of board, a twin plus trailer or a thruster, then you might order 5 slots. So when you see a 5-slot board, then know that it could be ridden like this as a quad. This board here is going to have a better upper wave range. It's got a pointier nose, more rocker, and it's one of the very few boards that I actually put a tail pad on. It's going to be strong. And of course, Joel was a professional on the tour. So he's brought along a sort of really refined, high performance sports shape. And this board is actually extremely fast, but it has a lot of control. So this would be a very good travel board if you are an intermediate surfer or above. But if you're still not quite at the intermediate to advanced level and you want something a little more user-friendly, the next board's for you. Now we're getting into the eggy mid-length zone. We're just on the border of that. With this board here is 6'8", and you can see it looks like a big egg. That's why they call them eggs. And it's a dedicated quad, so it's only to be ridden as a quad. This one here is 6'8", at 21.5, 2 and 15/16. It comes in at about 46 litres. So if you're still having trouble getting to your knees, if you've got mobility issues, you want something cruisy or comfortable, then this has a fairly mild rocker, a very generous wide outline. It actually means it's very smooth, but it's still quite fast because it's got plenty of surface area there, but it will handle small waves and big waves. This one's by Gunter, and I picked it up at my local surf shop. It was sort of out the front. The owner had been riding it and I got it secondhand, and it cost about half what I would have to pay for a fully custom design. So it was in stock and ready to go, and you never know your luck. Sometimes you can pick up a good board. This is the kind of board that you could take on a travel trip and ride in just about any conditions and have a really comfortable experience with it. Now this has a pretty standard single to double concave into V, like a lot of boards these days, but the next board I'm going to show you is perhaps one of the most unusual boards I've ever purchased. Here's another board that looks a lot like the board I just showed you. It's a bit of an egg, but this is seriously one quick egg. It's called a queg, and maybe that's because it is a quick egg. It looks plain, but it is so far from plain, and that's because it's shaped by John Simon, who is a young shaper who I believe is some kind of genius savant, because this thing is unbelievable. It is one of the fastest boards I have in my quiver. I got this in 7.0 21 3/4, 2 7/8, but it's not as much volume as you'd think, because look at those rails, they're quite thin, and that means it's very knifey. It can turn. If you put on rail, it will grip into the wave face. You can really sink those rails in. And have a look at this nose. It has a reverse V, which is, I think, a fancy way of saying a concave in the nose. And what this means is it paddles so well. There's just no resistance. Often when you have these thin rails, you'll see a belly in the board, but that's pushing against you when you're trying to paddle. But this just says, let me at it. And it just paddles so well. And it's got all this width up the front for speed. And you can also put your feet up here if you're surfing this board. You can get right down near the front and do your cheetah fives and have some style. Down the back, it goes quite flat and then into a double concave into V. And have a look at this fin cluster. You'll notice the fins are quite close together. The front fin and the back fin are overlapping, and it kind of gives it this twinser effect. So to really bring that out, and because the tail is more pulled in than the other board I showed you, what I've noticed is this suits a quad setup where the rear fin is taller than the front fin. So I'm using this Saw G10. They're super stiff. The rear has more area than the front, so it's kind of like a twinser. But this setup with the narrower tail, the clustered fins are close together. It is so fast. It turns so well. I didn't custom order this, but it was hand shaped and it was just a leftover stock from Rhino, and I grabbed it, and I think it's one of the sweetest boards. And you can ride this board in small and large waves. It's such a versatile board. I'm just so stoked with it. You'll see this guy shaping boards in Stab in the Dark type contests. John Simon, look out for him. He's got something. Next board I'm going to show you is a little bit easier to find and a real winner. Here we have a Christenson Nautilus, and sometimes they come as a twin, sometimes as a quad. This one, as you can see, is a quad. Notice how the fin boxes are further apart, front and back, but it's still quite a pulled in swallowtail. This board is particularly good in good waves, and one of the things I've learnt with this board that makes it so special is the center line, the stringer, sits down further than the rails. So it's got this double V, but it has actually got a V running through the entire board from nose to tail. And you hear a lot about that now. It's a big trend from other manufacturers. But the Christenson Nautilus was one of the first boards I've surfed where it really rocks from side to side so well, and it has so much speed. This board is most suited to quite good waves, but it will surf in smaller waves. But you can have a look, it's got rocker, a nice curl in that nose there. It's quite pointy on the outline, and it's pulled in the tail. So this is a good wave board. I've ridden this board in all sorts of conditions, and I think it would be quite well suited to traveling as well. This particular one is 7.0. It doesn't paddle as well as you might think for a 7.0. The first one I had was 6.4, and it was way under volume for me. I'm 6'2" and about 98 kilograms as at today. And this board is a perfect size for me, but I wouldn't go smaller. So this board would be considered a semi step up. In the next board I'm going to show you is an actual step up. This is a hand-shaped Scotty James from the Gold Coast of Australia, and this is a step up quad fish. You can see, like the board before, the Nautilus, it's got a fairly pulled in tail. It's got the four fins. This give you so much hold and drive, and it also has quite a pulled in nose and a fair bit of rocker, but it also has very, very refined rails. If you can see these rails here, they are beveled to the side. So one thing I've noticed about SJS surfboards is they are pretty low volume for the size. I ordered this off the website. It was very well priced. He does some specials sometimes, and this could be about half the price of some of the more known brands, but it is hand shaped in Australia with high quality materials. One of the other things I love about this board is it has a double concave all the way through, from the nose right through, and it feels different to other boards. You can tell that it just wants to accelerate, and it wants to just push through that water and turn. And the first time I rode this out at the local point, I was absolutely blown away. I was really shocked at how refined and fast it is. It paddles well because it has enough water line, even though the volume's low, it turns. And this board is really something you'll pull out when the waves start getting good. I don't think you'd want to grovel in this. I mean, it probably can, but that's not what it's for. This is a step-up board. But the next board is for when the waves get really serious. We're going to look at a gun. This board is a work of art. It's by Vouch. It's by Hutcho in the north coast of New South Wales. This is handmade with love, and look at that gloss polish finish. It's actually triple plywood stringer, and they said to me, James, you cannot break this board. It was modeled from an 8'8" version of this board that went to Puerto Escondido in Mexico and didn't break. This one is 8'2". It has the most incredible pulled in tail. Have a look at how pulled in this tail is, and it's suited to quads like a lot of guns have these days. This is, I guess, a semi-gun. It's not really in the gun territory. They should be in the 9s and 10s for a proper gun, of which I have one over there. But at 8'2", it's a semi-gun, and these quads here are the MFC Kai quads, where the rear is bigger than the front. I used to ride this board with standard Futures high quality fiberglass, and they were the standard sort of setup, but it was slightly stiff. This board does not want to turn. It is a get in the wave and go straight type board because it is flat into V. There's nothing tricky going on with this board, but these fins loosened it up a bit, and now it actually is quite playful, and it will turn. Absolutely incredible craftsmanship. You know, always gets admirers when I carry it out. If I am surfing this board, the waves are serious and I'm, getting that adrenaline and pulse rate. I've had some good surfs on this board. I've had some good hold downs as well. You can see that it has, of course, a gunny pulled in nose, that it has a very pulled in tail. It's kind of retro. The rails also have a little bit of release underneath here. When you hold the rails, when you're sitting on it, you can feel that they're chamfered a little bit along the edge, and that's to let the water go. It's a very, very smooth board. It's not the kind of board you can surf very often. I mean, you really need good waves to get on this board, but if you do like to surf in good big waves, this is a really fun board to have. And of course, it looks really good sitting around in between those waves. So there you go. We've had a look at the groveler quad, the high performance shortboard quad, the small mid-length eggy quad, the regular mid-length quad with a bit of a quirk, and then we go into our semi step up and then our step up, and of course down here we have our gun. So hopefully you find the right quad for the waves you're surfing. Of course, the fins make a huge difference as well, so try a different set of fins. If I could only have one of these boards, then the one I'm going to take will be this one, because I can ride this board in just about any conditions, and it gives acceleration and speed and control like I've hardly ever felt in any other board. So well done, John Simon. That is an epic board you've created for me. Thank you.